Hey, what's up everybody? I decided to make a video on the making of two recent covers of mine because there were a few things I've never done before, and I'd like to share some information on some new studio gear. Starting with my cover of Jungle Adventure from the first Mario Party game, this was kind of a challenging one for me to record since I'm not used to playing acoustic instruments. Drums were played with brushes, I switched the kick drum beater to the felt side for a mellower sound, and I used a piccolo snare to help it jump out of the mix. Rather than using my stage-right snare mic, I recorded it with my Audix i5. I also didn't mic the toms as I only hit them once near the end, and I wanted to simplify the recording process. The acoustic bass was one of the hardest instruments to record because I had some intonation issues, so I tuned it based on the 5th fret rather than the open string. It was mic'd with an SB150 positioned a few inches away from where the fretboard meets the sound hole. Acoustic guitars were mic'd with an SL230, rhythms were quad-tracked, and leads were double-tracked. One guitar had steel strings and the other had nylon strings. The most frustrating part of the recording process for Jungle Adventure was that I had to re-record all the acoustic bass and guitar tracks after hearing a lot of timing issues. I originally played to the live drums, but when I played the rhythm tracks to a drum machine, the performances sounded a lot tighter, so I went that route and then re-recorded the lead guitars to the live rhythm tracks. When it comes to the other percussion elements, this was my first time recording a conga set and a cuica, so I simply used my SM57s for everything except for the muted conga track, which was recorded with my Audix D6. Fun fact, I had to read through my BK5 backing keyboard's drum samples library in the owner's manual to find out about the cuica. Now as for my Neostar cover, I kept the piccolo snare and brought back the stage-right tom mics. I also used my Audix D6 for the first time on the kick drum, and surprisingly, I had to cut the high frequencies afterwards instead of boosting them, like I would with my stage-right bass drum mic. For bass, I still used my BT50, but only as an amp head, since I recently purchased my first cabinet, the EVH5153 2x12. The cab was mic'd with an SB150 and I recorded 2 tracks, one clean and one distorted. For guitars, I used the same cabinet but not the same amp. What I plugged into my first cab was my first amp head, the EVH5153 head. The amp was set to channel 2 for rhythms, channel 3 for leads, and I mic'd the cab with an Audix i5 and a Profile PM140. For keyboards, I once again used my BK5 for all the tracks. Drums, percussion, bass, and guitars were recorded with my Behringer Euphoria UMC 1820, and keyboards were recorded with my Focusrite Scarlett 2i2. And that's basically how I tracked these two cover songs. If you'd like me to go into more detail, just let me know. Thanks everybody for watching, and stay tuned for more content.